Yeah. So we got the Lizzie McGuire, What Dreams Are Made Of. I want to change one of the colors out here, but I don't know what to change it out with yet, because this is a sequin shade. I'd rather not have a sequin shade. I think I'm going to go into that what's that palette, the Sweet Nothings I showed you all, and take a shade from there to put here instead. But I still got these two at the bottom, two that are sequin shades that I don't want. So it's like I'd only be able to fix this one shade for right now, and then later on I'll have to fix these two, because I'm not feeling the sequin shades. I love the color story and the idea of this palette. I think it's great. It's just I'd have preferred not to have the sequin shades, so that's kind of the bummer for me with that palette. The fact there's so many sequin shades and I'm not feeling it. Next, I have the Dream Street palette. This is one of my all-time favorite collabs that Kathleen Lights did with Colourpop. So here's what it looks like on the inside. I know it's really simple and boring. It's like a nice little pop of warm tone with a lot of cool tones and neutrals, but you know, this is my type of color story. I would have preferred to have a different pop of something, but I like the fact that it's more blue than like a pop of blue like people were doing back at that time, so I give her credit for that. I like this palette. I miss when Kathleen Lights used to collab with Colourpop. I really liked a lot of the collabs that she did with them. Next, I have the Raw Beauty Christy and Colourpop at Foresight palette. So I did change out a shade in here, but again, I told y'all if I only change out one shade, I don't really feel the need to like put it to the side. So I literally only changed out this shade right here. I don't like sequin shades. I've said that plenty of times. So I put a brown in there to replace the black sequin shade she had in there, and I feel like it'll be fine. I mean, like, it's a little deeper neutral version of the brown she has right here. I don't think I've actually ever used this palette. I bought off somebody off Bakerie after everybody kept raving about the formula, how wonderful it was compared to all the other formulas, because it's a nice color story. But it's like, since I wear colors like this a lot of time, I already had a lot of these colors in my collection, so I didn't rush out to get it. And I think I got this in a deal with like 2 other Colourpop palettes for a steal from somebody who I guess was just trying to declutter in their collection. But I'm happy to have it, and I'm assuming eventually I'll end up using it. I feel like it'd be good to compare to some other palettes too, because the color story is really similar to a lot of what I feel like is coming out right now. So next, I have the Nightmare Before Christmas and Colourpop palette. I wasn't really that big a fan of the form of this palette or the color story. I mean, a lot of people said it was true to color story for Nightmare Before Christmas. I don't personally feel like it was, but you know, like, it's so long since I watched that movie till it's like, it could be for all I know. But I feel like a lot of it wasn't. I mean, obviously the orange is, because you know it's the Nightmare Before Christmas, but I feel like they should have tried to bring in some more reds instead of this pink and purple thing, because I mean, like, Christmas is all about like red and green, and I feel like the pink isn't really giving. They should have did red instead, but I'm assuming the pink is supposed to be for like the lady's dress or something like that. I don't know, but not crazy about the color story, not necessarily crazy about the formula, but you know, I love Tim Burton movies, and like the collector in me was like, it's just a nice palette to have in my collection, so yeah, I kept it around, but I wasn't crazy about it. The next one I have is the Through My Eyes. This is the 3rd collab, I believe, Ala Sarai or Karen did with Colourpop. Remember when they first came out with palettes, when they had them in the little foam thing where you could put like 3 or 4 singles in it? If she had 2 of those, then they let her come out with an actual palette after they came out in palettes with palette form. I messed around and dug a hole in my green. I'm very upset about that, but I love the color story of this palette. I feel like it's really similar to something else in my collection. Like, I feel like this is actually really similar to the Merry Christmas palette from Diypansy. Some of the tones in it, that's what it gives me the vibes of. So I actually brought it here to do that. It's like a main chick side chick thing for you to dig back in your collection and like see about it as far as the color story goes, or give you a good alternative for it. So I'm trying to debate if I'm still gonna do that or not, because you can't get this palette anymore. So I'm like, it's kind of no point. And if you did get it, it'd be quite old. The formula wouldn't be the same. And I don't want you paying $150 to people I've seen on Bakerie trying to sell you a $40 palette for like 150 bucks. So I don't know. This to me is a good alternative to that if you still have it in your collection and dare put it on your eyeballs, girl. But you know, that's just me. Next, one of my all-time favorite Colourpop collabs. I feel like back in the day, I was like, if I had to make a palette, this would be the palette I make. So I feel like you should already know if you're an old follower of mine. This is the Perception palette from Makeup Shayla and Colourpop. Like, I don't know what's up with her in this paint splatter thing, but she has a thing about paint splatter. If you all didn't see her collection with Sigma now, the brushes, it has the same paint splatter-ish type thing. So I'm like, I feel like she keeps coming out with the paint splatter thing, because that's like her vibe and her aesthetic. And I mean, I ain't mad at her. It looks cute. So it's what it looks like. As you can see, it's more of like a cool tone, warm tone thing. So of course my eyes are more drawn to this side over here. I'm not really as crazy about the warm tone side, but at least it's warm tones that work better for my skin tone, because it's obviously Makeup Shayla is a woman of color, so it works better for people with my skin tone. Now I wish they would do more collabs with more women of color, because I feel like after they did one with her, it's kind of like you didn't see anyone else of color. So it's like, how you call Colourpop and nobody of color can actually make a palette with your brand. Like, I'm Make it make sense. The math is math. And where are other people of color actually making collabs with your brand? Because I see you collabing with a million IPs, or you know, like the Latino community, but there's other communities out here that exist. Maybe you should collab with some of them. I mean, I'd be fine if you went to the Asian community, got some people from there. Like, can you get someone else besides the majority that you collab with, or the few Latino creators you think are like worthy of your time? Can we get someone else? I'm just saying, because we ain't seen nobody looks like me since Makeup Shake Up. So can we get someone else? Can we get someone else? Next, I have the Barbie x Colourpop, and this is why I applaud Giselle, or the owner of Glamlight, because I feel like when she did the aesthetic of Barbie, like, I love the way she did the aesthetic of Barbie. She made sure that you saw everyone with a Barbie, not just who they typically call Barbie. But I feel like Colourpop is just kind of generic. I love the color story of it, and it gives, to me, is a good alternative for the Manny MUA Strawberry Dream if you don't have money for Strawberry Dream, because I know Manny's palettes are like in the upwards of like, I think 40 some odd dollars. This one is only, I think, like 20. So if you can't afford Strawberry Dream for Manny, I definitely think this is a good alternative. Now, I don't expect it to be just as good quality as Manny's, but since it is a Barbie collab, obviously they stepped up the formula, and it's not like the mediocre formula they like to give out. This is actually the really good formula. So I definitely think if you can't afford Strawberry Dream, this would be a good alternative for you. But you know, like, this is what she looks like, girl. Next collab palette I have is the Star Wars one. You all saw this one actually quite recently. I did a video on it. I did a palette rewind because they finally got it back in stock. This is what she looks like on the inside. It's perfect warm tone, cool tone type palette. I feel like if you don't want to spend a lot of money on Pat McGrath palettes, to me this is like giving Bronze Temptation up here at the top, and then at the bottom this is giving more of Sublime palette, the very first one she came out with it, and it's just like a combination between the two in this one palette. So if you like that type of color story, like a really cool warm tone reddish vibe, and then like a nice cool tone bluish silver vibe, I feel like this would be a good alternative for those two palettes in combination. Since that's quite a bit of money, I think this is only like $24, $25. I feel like this would be a much better steal for you. Now the marble shades, I don't necessarily know how I feel about those, but you know, like, I like this palette overall, and the quality of it is actually really amazing. Now I'm not really a Star Wars person, so that didn't appease to me when it came to this palette. It was more of, you know, the color story, and I was feeling the color story. As boring as it is, I was feeling it. Next, I have the Holidays palette from Colourpop and the Muppets. I love the little curtain and how it shows just about everybody, but it leaves somebody else, so I guess they're not as popular a character. I don't know, but this is what it looks like. And here's the inside of it. The quality on this is actually really good. Oh, sorry, I didn't realize the plastic's still on. Sorry. The quality of this is actually pretty good, and I like the color stories and the way they set it up. They got Miss Piggy, you got Kermit, you got Gonzo, and then you got I think it's Teddy and Gonzo are supposed to be these two, and then Animal is supposed to be the red part, because those are some of the most popular characters in the Muppets. So I figured that's why they did the color story the way they did it. I like it. The only thing is these shades right here, they're not the easiest to work with because they're kind of gritty. But I had one of you all tell me in the comment section down below that they're not supposed to be pressed glitters, because I thought they were supposed to be pressed glitters. So I in this video I actually pinned the comments so people could read what that person said, because she actually went and looked and investigated, because myself and another YouTuber were saying that we thought they were pressed glitters, but apparently they're not. They're supposed to be like the sparkly Super Shock formula, sparkly formula like Pat McGrath and like Kaleidos and those type of brands do. So I was interested to find that out, but it's still a little too gritty and not necessarily like what I'm looking for. But it could just be like their trial run thing, and that's why it's working out the way it is. The next one I have to talk about is the So Jaded palette from, again, Kathleen Lights and Colourpop. I miss her collabing with Colourpop. I did take the two pressed glitters out of here, so that's why mine's not going to look the same. Like the shade Topaz with the pressed glitter, and I think the shade, is it the shade Opal or Pearl? There's one of the other ones in here that was a pressed glitter that I took out as well. So I took the two pressed glitters out because I wasn't feeling it. I'm not into pressed glitters, and I feel like it turned out pretty well because it's pink where Topaz was. I feel like it would work nicely with the row I put it in. Like I said, I swear I believe it was Opal that I took out the pressed glitter for and put this shade there as well, and I still feel like it'll be okay because it'll be a nicer inner corner look for the rest of the colors going on in the row. So I like this palette. The color story was a little all over the place for me, and I had to like adjust when making looks, but I feel like there were little like quads and corners where you could like put together and make a decent look. So I was happy and fine with that. And this was the first like makeup palette they ever made, and of course they did it with Kathleen Lights, so there's that. So the next one I have that I have not touched is Getting Fresh. So this is the Getting Fresh palette. This is one I bought this year in 2022. I told y'all might be seeing this in 2023, but I bought this in 2022. I ended up getting it on sale. I did a whole video about why y'all didn't need this palette, or why I wasn't getting the palette, but when it went on sale, I was like, I'll go ahead and get it then. And I told y'all I would get it when it was on sale, so that way you wouldn't be coming for me in the comment section when I showed up with the video of this palette. But I have remade a palette that looks really similar to this, or I had enough pops in it to where I felt like I didn't need that one, which is why I said I wasn't going to get it. But here we are with me with it just because I got it for a good deal. I think I got it for 20 or 30% off, and that's the only reason I ended up buying it. But it's nice. The color story is nice. I feel like it definitely fits into the collection and the type of colors that I like to use, because I do like to put pink and green together like I think I'm an AKA. So it's a good quality. It's a nice color story. The last makeup palette I have to talk about, and then we will get into my what do you call it, the palettes I recreated in the next video, is the Matte About Hue palette. So if you all remember, they came out with this palette, and I immediately had to compare it to my Blend Bunny palette. Now I wasn't that huge a fan of this color story. I know I heard other people talking about the quality of it was really nice and all that. I wasn't impressed with it. I don't know if I'm just spoiled because I've been using Maggie or Blend Bunny palettes for quite a while. The owner of Blend Bunny's name is Maggie, by the way, and that's why I wasn't crazy about this one. But I was just like, it's okay. I mean, it's nice for the price point. It works fine, but it's like for like 10 or 20 more bucks, I could just buy it from Maggie and use Cold Cage Makeup and get a discount and just use that formula better. So I preferred that one. But this was the last palette I had to show you all. So that concludes my Colourpop palette video. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. Remember, you all are diamonds, and I'll catch you in part 3, girl. Be blessed, girl. Bye. So what's up, everyone? It is your girl, Gel Beauty 87 here, aka Grace, and we're gonna get into part 2 of my Colourpop eyeshadow palette collection. So I know I'm supposed to start off just showing y'all the collab palettes and the mega palettes, and me supposed to end on the palettes I recreated, but I found a couple I had forgot to show when I was showing the other palettes before we got to the collab, so I figured we just had to pop it in here because I didn't want to have to pop in at the end of the other video just to pop that in. So let's get into those. So I have the All Amethyst palette. The reason I couldn't find some of these is because they were in the disappointing products of 2022. So here is what it looks like. It's a nice little purple palette moment. As y'all notice, I love purple palettes. I have shown y'all about 5 purple palettes from Colourpop. This one, the Enchanted, the Lilac You a Lot, the It's My Pleasure, and then like the 2 or 3 mini like 4-pan and 5-pan palettes. So clearly I have a type. I like purple, but that's what that one looks like. Then I have my Limoncello. I love the Limoncello palette. You think I wouldn't have because there's a whole bunch of neutrals, but it's like it has a couple of pops that make it good to me. I actually changed out one shade, but since y'all know I only changed out one shade, I'll show you the ones I changed out one shade. If I change out more than one shade, then I feel like, you know, it's somewhat of a recreation. I'll have to show you, but excuse me. So this is the Limoncello palette, and I took this one shade from, I want to say this is from the In the Limelight palette, and I popped it in here because I switched out the In the Limelight palette quite a bit to make the color story nice, and so I did with the Tinkerbell. So I wanted to make sure I, you know, accented and showed them. So there are those two. Now we'll get into my collab collection and my few what do you call them, palettes. I can show you my megas, because a lot of my megas I redid too with older shades from palettes. So this is the All Hallows Eve palette. If you all remember, I was not impressed with the formula on this palette. I actually do not like the formula on this palette, although this has the best color story of all the Hocus Pocus palettes. If you all remember, they have 3 Hocus Pocus palettes, and the formula on this one is my least favorite, but the color story on this one is my all-time favorite. You got your purples, you got your greens, you got your nice little oranges. Of course, you got your neutrals. You can do a warm tone neutral, you can do a cool tone neutral. So the color story of this is stunning. It's just the quality of it wasn't up there for me. So it was actually in the box I was telling y'all about the disappointing products, but I just went ahead and pulled it out for this video because I was like, yeah, let's just get it on done. Next, I have the Sweet as Can Be palette from the Winnie the Pooh collection. I thought that was a cute little name, and I thought this was a cute little palette. I don't like the way they changed the shapes in here, because like some of the shades I want to take out, because of course some of the mattes are sequin shades, but I can't because, you know, you made them this honeycomb, this yeah, honeycomb shape, and I can't get along. But the color story in this is really nice, and the formula is really nice. I just don't like the fact that, you know, I can't change out the shades the way I'd like to, like I normally like to. So that's the disappointment of this palette for me. Y'all, the battery flashing because I've been sitting here so long talking about all these palettes. So let me go get a battery and then we can continue. I hate when this happens.